The movie our group chose is Iron Man 2, directed by Jon Favreau and released in 2010. While met with very mixed reactions, the movie had a plethora of interesting fictional technology for the main character Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man. The main feature Tony uses in his robotic suits is a fictional artificial intelligence assistant named Jarvis. Jarvis appears in several forms and can act as either a three-dimensional hologram or as an interactive interface with voice responses, all within Tony's helmet.
Jarvis is an AI, also known as just a rather very intelligent system. It's used to assist with processing complicated data and decision-making. Oftentimes, it is used in tandem with a holographic display, as the user can describe a sequence of actions or a goal to minimize the need for human action. This improves efficiency and avoids cases where the user must do all actions manually. As seen in the image, the user doesn't make any complicated gestures. He can also use 2D and 3D references to best display information with a high degree of flexibility. For the more complicated actions, the user can rely on Jarvis. Next, we're going to show you a quick clip of the user interacting with the interface. This will give you a better understanding of the process we just described.
Not unlike an atom, in which case the nucleus would be here. Highlight the unisphere.
In the prior slide, it shows a small clip of the movie to help demonstrate how Stark interacted with the two user interfaces we're analyzing. He uses holograms to analyze maps and solve the puzzle left behind by his father. He uses Jarvis, or the AI system, to help develop the hologram and interact with the map in more complex ways, such as highlighting a certain type of building. The key interactions to take away from the movie are certain hand gestures to help analyze a model in three-dimensional space for the hologram display, and certain voice commands for the AI system to perform complicated tasks to make analysis easier. But after seeing this movie, it begs the question, would this work in real life? Maybe not to the extent the movie displays, but the hologram idea is plausible. But it needs many futuristic technologies, such as a type of sensor system to detect all the hand movements to manipulate the hologram. Because it was a film, a lot of the aspects of interacting with the hologram display and Jarvis don't seem to have a format, and without a designated format, inexperienced users can be very overwhelmed. However, in terms of AI, we do have formats of AI now, just not to the extent of the movie displays. AI systems such as Google Assistant, Siri, Cortana, and more, while they are known to help with casual day-to-day tasks, the military and other large organizations could largely benefit from the more advanced AI systems like Jarvis. So it does seem plausible to have more advanced AI systems, but society has a tendency to put a limit on that, and we'll talk about that more later on.
In order to further understand the interface, it is important to talk about the product origin. Jarvis was created to be a fully immersive holographic environment focusing on artistic flair to provide the viewer with a visual impact focused on 4 of the 15 principles of display design. The first of which being salience compatibility. This is most seen when Jarvis uses a flashing red warning to indicate that there is something wrong, such as damage to the suit. Proximity compatibility is also seen because the display format is uniform throughout the entire 3D interface. It is all a glowing blue with a universal font. Because Jarvis is constantly taking in and storing outside information, knowledge in the world is also shown. Finally, principle of the moving part is constantly shown in the 3D interface. One example is when Tony is running out of power, the power bar slowly decreases to indicate the lack of energy. When evaluated, I believe that the interface is a good one due to how intuitive and helpful it is. A downside of the interface is that it could be dangerous in the wrong hands.
Now that we've examined some pros of the interfaces, it's interesting to look at some of the cons. Firstly, with AI, there's a glaring problem that a lot of people have, which is that AI may be too smart for its own good, and a lot of people are concerned that AI will generally be like the downfall of humanity or something along those lines. As well as with technology this advanced, people may become too lenient on it. We've seen that in the past. In terms of the actual physical interface with the 3D holograms, it's interesting because obviously it would be extremely expensive and very complicated to implement, but it would also be insanely impractical unless you're doing something like he does, where he literally models something in this 3D space. But if you were trying to do something like use Facebook, it would be obviously overkill. In terms of improvements, one we thought was interesting was if there was someone who had some sort of eye problems, specifically in Tony's suit, if it would be insanely difficult to tell what was going on because of all the information on the screen, as you can see in the picture on the right. It's also interesting because with AI, they will tend to improve over time, so the longer you use this sort of technology, it will always improve because the AI will always learn more. In terms of future research in the real world it's a little redundant because we aren't quite here in the real world, but obviously AI is important for things like self-driving or autonomous driving, and the 3D holograms that he used did remind me of augmented reality, which is definitely a interesting topic that is being studied as of now.